My name is Zariah Elaine Creed, 29 years old from Atlanta, Georgia. I came back to find my face on a gravestone. And my cousin living in my apartment, using my name, spending my money, and running a business built on the lie that I was dead. But I wasn't gone. I was watching. And I was ready to take everything back. You think the worst betrayal is being forgotten? Try being erased. Stay tuned. This isn't just a comeback, it's a reckoning. Before we dive in, if you're into jaw-dropping stories of betrayal, revenge, and the truth rising from the grave, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a twist. This story isn't just about coming back from the dead. It's about exposing the people who buried me while smiling. Now buckle up, because what you're about to hear. It's all true. When I stepped off the Greyhound bus into the humid haze of Atlanta, I looked like a ghost. Dirty hoodie. Mud-stained jeans. My face gaunt, skin burned and flaking from the sun. People didn't stare long, but when they did, they looked right through me. 2 years ago, I vanished during what was supposed to be a short solo hiking trip in the Blue Ridge Mountains. One wrong turn. A dead phone. And no way back. I don't remember all of it, just the cold, the hunger, the days bleeding together in the dark. What saved me was sheer luck and the will not to die. But surviving the wild wasn't the shocking part. What hit hardest was what I came home to. My old apartment on Campbellton Road had a new name on the mailbox: Fallon Creed. My cousin. My closest blood. My almost sister. I didn't knock. I couldn't, I walked. Miles. All the way to Southview Cemetery. I don't know what made me go there, instinct maybe. Or the whisper of something I didn't want to believe, and there it was. Plot 42B. Row 3. A polished gray headstone beneath a dying magnolia tree, Zariah Elaine Creed, 1994 to 2023, forever in bloom. They buried me. I dropped to my knees. There was a photo etched into the stone. One from my college graduation, white dress, gold cords, smile wide. Fallon had taken that photo. A chill ran up my spine, hotter than the Georgia sun. Someone hadn't just assumed I was dead, they'd declared it. Legal. Public. Permanent. I stumbled back onto the street, heart pounding, vision tunneling. The shock wasn't that people thought I was gone, it was that they'd been so eager to move on. No missing person flyers. No search teams. No social media please, just a gravestone. A photo. And a lie carved in stone. I needed answers, but more than that, I needed to know who benefited from my disappearance, because someone hadn't just accepted I was gone, they'd made sure I stayed that way. I stood across the street from my old apartment, just past midnight, cloaked in shadows and disbelief. The lights were on. My lights. The porch chair I'd bought from a flea market still sat by the door. Except now, it had a fresh red cushion. Fallon always liked red. I waited, a motion sensor kicked on as the door opened, and there she was, Fallon Creed, in my favorite hoodie, an oversized Clark Atlanta sweatshirt I used to wear every weekend. She stepped out with a wine glass in one hand and a phone in the other. Laughing at something on the screen, she looked good. Healthy. Comfortable. Like someone who had no ghosts haunting her. She glanced toward the street, and for a second I thought she saw me. But she didn't. She went back inside, shut the door, and locked it. I backed away slowly, heart pounding, my mind racing. Fallon had moved in. Settled in. Claimed it all. By the next afternoon, I was in a borrowed hoodie at a corner library, using a public computer under a fake name. I pulled up Facebook and typed Zariah Creed. My profile popped up. Still active, there were recent posts after I'd disappeared. Photos of memorial cookouts, old childhood pictures, and long captions from Fallon about how much she missed me. Not a day goes by where I don't think about Z, one caption read. Gone too soon, but your light still lives in me. There were likes, shares, comments. People offering condolences. But Fallon wasn't mourning me, she was milking me, digging deeper. I found her new Instagram handle, @CreedByDesign. She was now a decor stylist and creative consultant, whatever that meant. And she was using my name, my followers, and my aesthetic to build it. The car in her pictures? Mine. The couch she posed on? Mine. The desk she showcased in her home office? I'd built it from scratch during lockdown. I wasn't just missing, I'd been replaced. I pulled my credit report next, and my stomach dropped. Dozens of charges I didn't make. A small business loan in my name. An apartment lease. Utility bills. Even a credit card opened 3 months after my disappearance. Fallon hadn't just taken my place. She'd taken my future. She didn't think I'd come back. She'd bet everything on me staying gone, but I was back now. And I wasn't knocking on any doors or begging for what was mine. No, I was watching, I was collecting, and I was planning. Fallon thought the biggest twist was my disappearance, but she hadn't seen the comeback yet. I didn't rush in. I knew better. Fallon had already won once. While the world thought I was dead, she was busy rewriting my story. But this time, I had the pen, so I watched. From alleys. From coffee shop windows. From parked cars across the street. Always invisible, always alert, Fallon's routine was tight. Mornings at the cafe on Edgewood, afternoons at client sites, evenings back at her apartment. She dressed like me. Laughed like me. She even wore her hair like I had during the last year I was alive, but the performance had cracks. I noticed the arrogance in her gait. The way she waved at neighbors with a tight smile, as if daring them to ask too many questions. She carried my life like it was a designer handbag, pretty, convenient, and easily replaceable. I started documenting everything. I borrowed an old camera from a guy I met at the bus station, paid him $20 for it. It was bulky, but it worked. I got shots of Fallon using my key to enter the apartment, sitting in my favorite spot on the balcony, holding meetings with clients using a design portfolio she'd lifted directly from my Google Drive. She was sloppy, too. One afternoon, I slipped into the hallway of the apartment complex and taped a tiny mic under her mailbox. Another time, I waited outside a client meeting and recorded her introducing herself to a realtor as Zariah Creed, founder of Creed by Design. I didn't know what made me angrier, her using my name to build her brand, or the fact that no one questioned it. She wasn't just stealing. She was succeeding, but I was learning. She was pitching a partnership with a downtown hotel, renovation, rebranding, the works. I eavesdropped on the pitch. She used my college thesis, word for word. Even cited a project I'd done in undergrad. I wanted to burst in right then. Rip the mask off, but I waited. Instead, I printed every image. Cataloged every recording. I created a timeline, lined up bank statements with photos, audio with appointment logs. Fallon didn't know it yet, but she was building the case for me. Every lie she told, every client she conned, it was another brick in the wall she'd eventually crash into. She'd buried me. Now, I was preparing her grave meticulously, quietly. She thought she was untouchable, but the truth? She was just an actor in a role that didn't belong to her. And I was the one writing the final scene. The day I became Lena DuBois, I killed what was left of the old me. I bleached my curls, straightened them, tucked them under a sleek black wig. Traded my jeans for a fitted blazer, glasses for contacts. I used a prepaid phone, created fake LinkedIn and Instagram accounts, and even built a quick website for a fictional design investment firm based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Lena was sharp. Elegant. Everything Fallon dreamed of impressing. I emailed her through Lena's account with a simple message: loved your portfolio. I'm expanding into Atlanta interiors. Let's talk investments. Coffee next Thursday? She replied within an hour. Absolutely. So honored. Name the place. I chose a trendy cafe in Midtown, open, public, but quiet enough to talk business. I arrived 15 minutes early and ordered a peppermint tea just to calm my nerves. I rehearsed every detail. I knew how Fallon operated. She wanted validation, praise, and the illusion of control. I was ready to give her all three. Right before I pulled the rug from under her, she walked in 5 minutes late wearing my old leather jacket, like some trophy she didn't earn. Her smile was radiant, predatory. "Lena Dubois," I said, rising to shake her hand. "Fallon Creed," she beamed. "It's really nice to meet you. I've read so much about your work." Saturday, she launched into her pitch with ease, talked about her journey, how she started the design business inspired by a tragic family loss. "I lost my cousin 2 years ago," she said, placing a perfectly timed pause in her voice. "It really changed my perspective. Pushed me to go after my dreams." My knuckles whitened around my teacup. "Zariah, right?" I asked gently. "I think I saw the tribute on your site." Fallon nodded. "Yes. We were like sisters." She didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Just lied as smoothly as she sipped her vanilla latte. I pulled out a small digital recorder from my bag and placed it on the table. "For clarity," I said. "I like to keep a record of business meetings." She nodded, unaware she was sealing her fate. I asked about her funding. She smiled. "Well, after my cousin passed, I became her next of kin. Some of her savings, life insurance. It helped me get started. Honestly, I think she'd be proud." I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled. "And the name Creed by Design, was that hers too?" She grinned. "Inspired by her, yes. But it's mine now." I ended the meeting politely, saying I'd circle back after due diligence. She hugged me. Hugged the woman she thought was her ticket to bigger deals. She didn't realize she'd just confessed to me, the dead girl, and I had it all on tape. The storage facility off Memorial Drive smelled like mold and dust. Unit number 117 hadn't been opened in nearly 2 years, and it showed, lock rusted, hinges stiff, cobwebs clinging to the corners like the place had been grieving in my absence. I braced myself. Fallon had gotten here before me. Boxes were sliced open. Old clothes strewn across the floor. A framed diploma shattered in the corner. It felt like someone had ransacked a tomb and left the bones behind, but there was one place I was certain she hadn't looked: a hollowed-out copy of Beloved by Toni Morrison, tucked in the bottom of a crate marked college books. Fallon always hated my habit of hiding things in plain sight. I dug through the crate, flipping through worn textbooks and half-finished journals, until I saw the navy blue spine. My hands trembled as I pulled it free. The thumb drive was still inside, taped into the carved-out pages. Untouched, I stared at it for a long time, heart pounding. This wasn't just data. It was proof. My story. My voice. The last piece of me I'd preserved before everything went dark. Back at the library, I slipped the drive into a computer and clicked open the first file: Zariah_Creed_will.docs, journal_backup.zip, video_log_final.mp4. I opened the video file. The screen lit up with a younger version of me, bright-eyed, hair in a tight puff, wearing a hoodie and no makeup. My voice cracked as I spoke. "If you're watching this, something went wrong. And I don't know if I'm dead or just missing. But I need you to know I didn't run. I didn't give up. And I definitely didn't sign over my life." I swallowed hard, watching my former self pace slowly. Fallon's been getting weird lately. Asking questions about my bank stuff, where I keep my documents. I don't know what she's planning, but if anything happens to me, check her first. Tears filled my eyes. I've backed up my journals. My passwords. My will. It's all on this drive. I don't know who'll find it. But if someone's out there listening, make sure I'm not erased. The screen went black. I sat there in silence, the glow of the monitor humming in front of me. I had what I needed now. Not just Fallon's lies, but my truth. My voice. My proof that I'd seen her coming, even if I hadn't known how far she'd go. With the journals, the will, and the recording, Fallon's house of stolen cards was about to collapse. She'd buried me, but she forgot one thing. The dead don't stay quiet when they leave behind receipts. The Fulton County Courthouse loomed over me like a monument to everything I'd lost. I walked in wearing a black ball cap and oversized hoodie, slipping past security with my head down. My palms were damp with nerves, but my jaw was locked. I wasn't backing down, not now. At records and vital statistics, I gave them the only name that mattered, Zariah Elaine Creed, I said quietly. Death certificate request. I'm doing some estate follow-up. The clerk, an older woman with tired eyes and nails painted crimson, nodded and typed without looking up. Date of death? June 17, 2023, I replied. The day after I vanished. She printed the document and slid it across the counter like it was just another form. But to me, it was the proof of my erasure. Death certificate, name, Zariah Elaine Creed, date of death, June 17, 2023, cause of death, presumed drowning, unsupervised hiking incident, witnesses, Fallon Creed, Tasha Greer, filed by Fallon Creed, next of kin. My breath caught. Presumed drowning? There had never been water where I disappeared. No lake, no river. And the witnesses? Tasha Greer was Fallon's childhood friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in over a decade. They'd faked it. All of it. At the bottom was a line that hit me like a slap. Body not recovered. Fallon hadn't waited to mourn. She hadn't even waited for answers. Just 30 days after I vanished, she'd declared me dead, forged an obituary, and appointed herself executor of my life. I asked for a copy of the filing. The clerk hesitated. You sure you don't want to speak to probate? She asked. I met her eyes and forced a thin smile. Just trying to tie up what's left. In the hallway, I found a bench and opened the obituary on my phone. Zariah Creed, beloved daughter, friend, and visionary designer, was tragically lost in a hiking accident. She is remembered by her cousin Fallon Creed, who was like a sister to her. It was a story Fallon wrote herself. A story designed to make her the grieving hero. But it was also her mistake, the false timeline. The forged signatures. The claim that I drowned without a trace in a place that had no water. I photographed every line of that document. Filed it in my growing folder of receipts. Fallon thought she'd written the final chapter of my life. Neat. Painless. Profitable, but that certificate? It wasn't a eulogy, it was an admission of guilt, on official government paper, and when this was all over, I wouldn't just be alive, I'd be the one burying her. The last time I saw Tarek Bentley, we were sitting in the back of an undergrad law class, arguing about ethics. He was passionate, sharp, and never afraid to go after the truth, even when it got messy, so when I found him working at a small legal clinic near Georgia State, I knew I had my guy. He didn't recognize me at first, skin tanner, hair straighter, 20 pounds lighter from survival, but when I said his name and whispered, "It's Zariah," his jaw nearly hit the floor. "You're dead," he stammered. "Not yet," I said. "But someone's about to be." I laid it all out, the forged death certificate, the stolen identity, the fake business, the falsified obituary. I handed him the thumb drive with Fallon's voice bragging about inheriting what wasn't hers. Tarek listened without interrupting, eyes wide, fists tightening. She committed at least 3 felonies, he muttered when I was done. Maybe more, depending on how many banks she defrauded. You have everything but the headline. Then let's write it, I said. Fallon had planned a massive launch party for Creed by Design, her interior consulting firm. Invitations had been sent. Social media was buzzing. Local influencers tagged the venue, a gallery off Ponce de Leon, promising champagne, speeches, and a tribute to the cousin who inspired it all. She was still milking my name, so I decided to show up wearing it. Tarek worked the legal angle. He drafted the affidavit, secured early court filings, and even alerted a reporter from a local digital news outlet. Just enough fire under the surface, but no alarms yet. Fallon had no idea the match was already lit. The night of the party, I wore all black, heels, blazer, bold lipstick. Hair curled. Confidence sharp. I walked into that gallery like I never left, eyes turned. Murmurs began. Fallon was on stage, toasting to legacy, love, and reinvention. She looked down and froze, our eyes locked. For a moment, the room felt like it dipped in ice. Some whispered my name. Others asked if it was a tribute actor or a publicity stunt. But I walked straight to the front, pulled the mic from its stand, and turned to face the crowd. "My name is Zariah Creed," I said, voice steady. "I'm not dead. I never was. And the woman behind me built this company by stealing my life." Gasps. Camera phones went up like a forest of flashlights. Fallon whispered, "Z, what are you doing?" I turned, slow and deliberate. "No, Fallon. The question is, what have you done?" Behind me, Tarek stepped out from the shadows and handed a thick envelope to a man in a dark suit. "A sheriff's deputy, Fallon Creed," he said, "you're being served." The courtroom felt colder than the mountains I'd nearly died in. I sat on the witness stand, staring across the aisle at the woman who used to braid my hair on Sundays and steal my chapstick in high school. Fallon wore a navy suit, her makeup crisp, her lips trembling at the edges like she couldn't decide if she wanted to cry or curse me out. She didn't look so invincible now. The DA opened strong charges of identity theft, fraud, and falsifying official documents. They painted Fallon not as a grieving cousin, but as a calculated opportunist who saw my disappearance as her golden ticket. She tried to hide behind silence, but the evidence screamed louder than any defense. They played the video, my video, where I warned of her intentions. They presented her fake obituary, the altered death certificate, my journals, recovered from a laptop she never knew I'd synced to the cloud, and the final blow, the recording from our coffee meeting, where she'd told Lena Dubois she used my inheritance to launch her business. The jury leaned forward, wide-eyed. Fallon tried not to look at me as her own voice betrayed her. My turn came. I walked to the stand with steady legs and a spine full of rage I'd cooled into purpose. "My name is Zariah Elaine Creed," I began. "And I'm not supposed to be here. Because she buried me alive." Gasps. The reporter's pen scratched wildly. Fallon didn't flinch. I told them about the Blue Ridge, how I survived what should have killed me. How I returned to find my name etched into stone and my life picked clean by the person I trusted most. "She didn't just take my money," I said. "She took my name, my identity, my voice. But I came back. And now I'm here to make sure she never steals from anyone again." Fallon's lawyer tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, a trauma response from a family desperate to move on. But the jury wasn't buying it, neither was the judge. The verdict came back in under 2 hours, guilty on all counts. Fallon stood silent as the bailiff took her into custody. Her eyes finally met mine, and for a moment, I saw the cousin I used to love buried deep beneath the one who chose ambition over blood. "I thought you were dead," she whispered. I leaned in, my voice barely above breath. "No. You just hoped I was." Outside, reporters swarmed. Microphones. Cameras. Questions flying like bullets. I didn't flinch. I didn't come back for revenge, I told them. I came back to reclaim what was mine. Fallon tried to erase me, but I made sure the world knew I was never gone. Just waiting. The first night in my new loft, I didn't unpack. I just sat on the balcony with the city glowing beneath me, Peachtree Street buzzing with headlights, laughter, and the hum of Atlanta's heartbeat, alive, present, reclaimed. Midtown was a different world from the one I'd left behind on Campbellton Road. Taller buildings. Brighter lights. A rhythm that didn't ask you who you used to be, only if you could keep up now. It was exactly what I needed. The court had officially restored my identity. My name, credit, bank accounts, all returned. But the real win wasn't the paperwork. It was the freedom to choose my own story again. I didn't go back to the old apartment. I let the lease die with the lies Fallon built there. I donated the furniture. Blocked the realtors. I wanted a clean start, not a reclaimed past, and the headstone, I didn't remove it. I left it there. It stands in Southview Cemetery, weathered but untouched. A marker for who I used to be, and a warning to anyone who thinks they can rewrite someone else's ending. I visit sometimes. Not often. Just enough to remind myself that I survived what most don't, betrayal by blood and resurrection without fanfare. Some people come back from the dead with applause. I came back with receipts. Fallon was sentenced to 7 years with no parole for fraud, forgery, and identity theft. She cried in court. She wrote me a letter from jail. I didn't read it. What could she possibly say? Sorry I buried you alive. Hope the new loft has great lighting. P.S. Loved the coffee meeting. No, Fallon made her choice, and I made mine. I started a new design blog, this time under my full name. Zariah Elaine Interiors. No shortcuts. No stolen content. Just me, authentic. Fierce. Unapologetically alive. A local magazine picked it up within 3 months. Said I had a voice like steel wrapped in silk. I laughed at that. They didn't know how much steel it took to crawl back from the dead, but I do, and I carry it in my spine every single day. I don't believe in happy endings, not anymore. I believe in earned ones, and I earned this, the view, the name. The life I had to fight tooth and nail to get back. Fallon tried to erase me, but she didn't realize you can't kill the truth, you can only delay it. And in the end, I didn't just get my life back, I took it further than she ever dreamed. If you made it to the end, thank you for listening to my story. It wasn't just about betrayal, it was about survival, truth, and taking back what was stolen. If this story gripped you, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful, real-life inspired stories that uncover what people try to bury. Got a story of your own? Or a twist that left you speechless? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Until next time, stay sharp, stay true, and remember, some stories don't end in silence. They end in justice.